Well, now 12 minutes gone past 5 p.m. You're still listening to Hard Facts and 92.3 Nigeria Info. I'm your Trudy Kalada Karubantabo, and it is the Friday edition. It's the last edition for this week. Happy New Month to you once again, and let's get into the next conversation, into the nitty-gritty. And this time, like I mentioned, we will be focusing on the educational sector. Now, since I became aware of my surroundings, I have realized that the tertiary education has had so many disruptions over the years. If it's not also demanding for something for the development of the tertiary education, the universities now, it is Nasu or Ssanu saying, oh, things are not as well. Now, we saw the Nasu, that's the non-academic staff union, and the senior staff association, come out to complain about welfare a while ago, and it gave the government an ultimatum, or else they were going to embark on strike. Now, some will say, "Oh, what is the significance of these two unions?" However, it has disrupted services. It's just like NLC going on strike. That's how it is at the universities, because the non-academic staff are very pivotal in the running of so many offices at the various universities across the country. But what is the problem this time? Why has welfare or the issue of welfare lingered up till this time? Because we need education of our children, or of our siblings, or our parents, whichever one, so that we can have a better society. So why is it so hard that these people who work at a knowledge-based center, talking about the university, cannot come up with a solution to a minor problem? One would think a problem as easy as welfare. So joining me to have a conversation today is Ezebaraba Michael, who is the Secretary, Ssanu, University of Port Harcourt. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Good. Welcome on the show and greetings to you. So please, can you help us understand what really is this problem? Now, looking at newspapers, we hear welfare, salaries that are being owed, but we don't really understand. What is the problem? Can you break it down for us?
Okay, Kalada, thank you for having me on your show. I'm Comrade Ezebaraba Michael. I'm the Secretary of Ssanu, University of Port Harcourt branch.
Okay.
Kalada, the decision to embark on strike is a very painful one. But the moment you have been pushed to the wall, the only option you have left is to push back. And our people have truly been pushed to the wall. Kalada, I want to inform you that in 2022, our people, under the canopy of JAC, Joint Action Committee of Ssanu and Nasu, embarked on an indefinite strike to press home the demand for the renegotiation of the 2009 agreement, which was long overdue, and then some other issues like the end allowance, which the government was, supposed to have paid even before then. That strike was called off at the instance of the federal government with the signing of an MOU. Sadly, that was another dispute by the federal government, as none of the content of the MOU was honored. Also, one of the clauses in that MOU clearly stated that there shall be no victimization of anyone for embarking on strike. But to our greatest surprise, the government, who invoked the no work, no pay, then under the team led by Chris Nguge, the then Minister of Labour, we were surprised that our salaries were not paid. We wrote letters, did all manners to ensure that our members get what was due then, because the issue was not even their fault. They were pressed to the wall. That also, became another problem. We started writing, demanding for the withheld salaries to be paid. Sadly, we only got promises. In October 2023, Mr. President graciously gave a waiver for the university workers to be paid the 4 months arrears. arrears of the withheld salary. We expected our payments only for government to single out our sister union, Asu, and take them 4 months. We were confused. You know, we made inquiries. So whether it was a mistake, you know, whether they made a mistake in the course of preparing the payment vouchers and all that. But all we got was promises that they are going to ratify it, So we started issuing warnings for strike. First, we went for protest. A protest that we got to Abuja. After the protest, we gave 4 months warning strike. We also came back, gave 2 weeks. Government paid until this 11th minute. And then that was when, the moment they heard of strike, quickly, they called our people. And then what happened? They told us to go back and then continue working, that they are going to, you know, see what they are going to do, ensure that the payment, the salary is paid. Dear Kalada, as I talk to you, just this evening, a few hours ago, government just paid 1 month out of the 4 months. But our people are still there. We are resolute. We are going to wait until the payment is completed before we call off the strike.
So
Thank you, my brother.
This whole issue is about, you know, a 4 months without salary as far back
Yes, my brother.
2009.
That's a renegotiation. It was in 2002 that the indefinite strike, you know, was embarked on.
Okay.
Demanding for the renegotiation of the 2009 agreement government had with
Okay,
our
2012.
union.
So 2012 now, yeah? 2012.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. When you say the MOU was signed, has that agreement been reached with ASU? Because you said the 4 months' salaries withheld were paid to ASU. But do you know if ASU has got his own package from that MOU?
No, you know, before we actually called our own strike off. We called off our strike even before ASU called off theirs. You know, ASU had to proceed. The federal government had to take ASU to industrial court, and then it was at the point that the industrial court gave judgment and then asked them to return to their work. That was when they called off the strike. You understand?
I remember that court case, yeah.
Good. So our people, we have been law-abiding. We have shown all from every process required. You understand? As an industrial, as a labor union, we showed everything required. But to our greatest surprise, government still treats us as if we are third-class citizens and a community where we do very sensitive jobs. Thank you.
Now, the question I want to ask is, now that the federal government has paid 1 month, is it enough to call off the strike for the time being, you know, for the moment, you know, pending if government does not meet up the, agreement to pay the remaining 3 months? Is it possible? Is this something that the association is looking at?
We have, you know, gone beyond promises, and we don't want to go back to that. Mr. President gave a waiver that 50%. Mr. President gave a waiver that 4 months should be paid. The interpretation is that the 4 months is 50% of the salary arrears that is being owed. To ASU, they are owing 8 months, and then they paid them 4 months. And then they feel that our own, because the Minister of Education raised a letter to the Minister of Finance, telling him that Mr. President has graciously asked that we should be paid 2 months. But the man actually said that our salary should be paid 4 months salary. So, but that's by the side. We do not have problems with that. They should pay us what we have been told first. And then other issues too, because, you know, the moment you embark on strike, other issues, you know, that may tomorrow, you know, begin to bring problems. we presented them on the table, and we hope that they get them addressed.
So that was going to be my next question, talking about, because if you're striking for welfare now, which is 4 months without salary as far back as 2012, one would wonder the renegotiation done and the MOU signed, has the federal government kept to that agreement? If no, does it mean that the association will embark on another strike in the future?
The renegotiation that we are talking about, you understand? There was an agreement in 2009. And then during that period of the strike, remember, the then mini breaks committee was handling it, and then they submitted a report. That report was not comprehensive because our submissions were not even represented in that report. So we expect, because government has also reconstituted another committee to handle that, to renegotiate the 2009 agreement. The MOU that I talked about was just for the strike for them, because they gave us their awards. They said we should, call off the strike in that 2022 for them to go back and then look at these key issues and then take care of them, including the last clause I told you about, that there is not going to be any form of victimization.
But that's what I'm asking. If those conditions have been met,
None of them. Look, you see where we are now. None of them was even, met. That's why I told you that none of the content of that MOU was even addressed. And that's why we are here now. That's why we are at this point now.
But I'm also asking now. It looks like the strike or protest is basically about welfare. But what happens when that is settled? Would you still continue with the strike so that the other parts of that agreement is met? Or what will be the situation of things?
Now the key issue here now, as we talk, is the areas of the 4 months strike.
Okay.
And then they have started paying. We expect that they pay, even if they pay the 2 months, which translates to 50%, like they wrote to the Minister of Finance through Minister of Education. If that is given consent, if we get the 2 months, I'm sure that our people will go back to the drawing board and then do something while we wait for them to, address other issues.
All right, Mr. Michael, please, I would ask you to stay on the line. We do have a short commercial. When we come back, I'll ask you some few more questions and we'll wrap up. Please just stay tuned.
Okay.
Thank you.
stakeholder calls for financial support to flood-ravaged farmers in Rivers communities. Rivers State government debunks reports of plan to shut down oil installations. Rivers NLC threatens to withdraw services of a judgment stopping allocation to state. Court adjourns trial of end bad governance protesters after suspects collapse in court. On the foreign scene, rain warning issued in another Spanish region as death toll rises to 158.
This is Hard Facts.
All right, it is the bottom of the hour, 5:30 p.m. it is, and you're listening to Hard Facts in 92.3 Nigeria Info. I am Kalada Kurubatsban. Our eyes are on the tertiary education sector, most particularly the universities. And, I've just told you Nasu, Ssanu are on strike, and now I've been told it's as a result of the failure of the government at the federal level to keep to an agreement reached as far back as 2012 now for renegotiation. 2022. I keep mixing. Sorry about that. I keep mixing the timeline. But yeah, 2022. All right. So welcome. Now you've just told us, Mr. Michael Ezebaraba, that the federal government has paid 1 month. If it pays 2 months or 2 months, would you call off the strike? Are you asking basically for just the 4 months and nothing more?
Well, thank you very much. Like I told you, when we started the strike on Monday, the Minister of Labour quickly called our people, their normal this thing, and then asked that we'll go back to work, that they are going to do everything possible to pay the salary arrears. When they told us that, we say no, we cannot call off this strike until we get alert on our phones. Like I told us, the federal government, Mr. President, graciously gave a waiver of 4 months. And then when the Minister of Education raised a letter to the Minister of Finance, he told the Minister of Finance that the Mr. President had approved the payment of 2 months. 2 months. That's what his translation is. 2 months, because we were owed 4 months, while Asu was owed 8 months. You understand? So payment of 4 months, having paid Asu 4 months, they interpreted that ours is 2 months. No problem. If they pay that the president has approved, then we can now go back to the drawing board and then look at other issues. And then of course, nobody likes going on strike. Like I told you, it is a very, very unfortunate situation. Nobody likes embarking on strike. It's a painful one, sincerely, because in the university, we have our brothers, our sisters, some our children. My niece is there. My 2 of my nephews are there. So it's not a good experience at all. Nobody wants to embark on strike.
Now that you've mentioned, I wonder if every time the university goes or embarks on a strike, if the university counts the losses, most especially academic losses. Because now that you have embarked on strike since on Monday, it looks like certain offices have been grounded. Do you, as a union or an association, usually count the academic losses that characterize such strikes?
Of course we do. We do, because even when we come back, when we call off, our workload is still there. We'll go back to the work and then finish up. For sure, we feel very bad, because the loss there is something you cannot imagine. The loss for every day that the union goes on strike, if the university authority tells you the amount of loss they embark on, they get by the reason of that strike, you will not believe it. It runs in millions.
So what do you think is the way forward? Because we're looking for solutions on the show. How do we ensure that whether it's ASU, whether it's Nasu, whether it's Ssanu, or any other association at that level, not embarking on strike? How do we ensure that?
Well, the key issue is government insincerity. You understand? Government has always been insincere to the plight of the workers. In this case, Ssanu and Nasu. They have been very insincere. Anytime government tells you they are going to do, they go into agreement. You know that the content of this agreement, you will now be able to carry it. Why going into the agreement? There are several key issues that are lined up in the agreement. These are issues that people sit down and then articulate. The problem of our members, we sit down and articulate them, and then government come and then sign an agreement, and then they will turn the other way and will not fulfill. So that's the problem. If government can stop being insincere, then the strike will be a thing of the past.
All right, let's take some calls. 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003, and 0817-923-0007. WhatsApp number 0809 0306 let's get your thoughts on this disruption of the educational services at the universities in Nigeria. Just so I ask, does this also affect state universities, or is it just for federal universities?
Why not? It affects state universities too.
So are you saying state universities also had their salaries withheld, for that amount of months?
No.
Okay.
No. Okay. Let me inform you.
All right.
State universities, you understand, go into the agreement based on the agreement their union, like our union, based on agreement we reach with the federal government.
Okay.
State universities also go into such agreement. And then, as this strike is embarked, they also bring up their issues. Do you understand?
Yeah.
They also bring up their issues. As to call off the strike, they call off the strike. We also go back to negotiate, to help them negotiate with the state government. You understand?
Yeah.
In line with the agreement that we have reached with the federal government.
And would you say the state governments, the various state governments, have been able to, what's the word now, to keep to that agreement, unlike the federal government?
Mr. Kalada,
yeah,
you will not believe that the state government is even worse culpable than the federal government. Because you see, most state governments go about establishing universities, new universities. Sometimes they do it even to please their friends. You understand? And then you will see that they are unable to pay workers in those universities. They are able to, remunerate them, give them what is due them. So it's neither here nor there, Mr. Kalada.
All right. Let's take some calls, please. You see on the line, I've got Alozie from Rumikbo. Alozie, welcome. Justice from Port Harcourt, welcome. We lost the connection with Alozie. Justice from Port Harcourt, welcome. Yes, welcome.
Am I on to Nigeria Info?
Yes, you are, Justice from Port Harcourt.
Okay,
quickly.
Kalada. My name is Dr. Justice Akando.
Okay.
Yes, I just called to lay credence to what Michael Ezebaraba is saying.
Okay.
You see, the issue that we have in the education system is the issue that borders on divide and rule. When government comes, they look for a way to divide ASU from other university-based unions. As if ASU is the only union in the university system. Government enter into agreement with university-based unions and then decide to cherry-pick the union to deal with. It's a system. The system works in an interrelated manner. If government is sincere, like he rightly said, and fulfill the agreement they enter into with our unions, there will be no need for strike. Now, let me say at this juncture that there are other issues that government have agreed with our unions. I don't know if you recall the issue of end allowance that was budgeted for. in 2023 budget, government never paid as I'm talking to you. The report of the union panel has not been implemented by the Vice Chancellor. These are issues. The renegotiation of the 2009 agreement is long overdue. Just recently, government, after the demise of Professor Nelibri, constituted another committee, and our own union, Ssanu, at the inauguration was not even recognized. These are issues that government needs to, harmonize and then see how they address those issues. Until government comes, with sincerity of purpose to address issues that bother us on the university system, I'm sorry to say that will be tried, in the system. Government needs to address those issues so that before they snowball into strike, they nip it on the board.
All right. What
are the issues? If you value the education, the tertiary education, you need those issues on the board before they snowball into strike. Like the rightly says, we are not happy going to strike. We want to do our job. If government is sincere to fulfill the promises, I mean, I see no reason why the Honorable Minister of Finance, we told the letter that was written by the Minister of Education for 3 months after Mr. President graciously gave approval. These are issues that affect government.
All right. Thank you very much, Justice from Port Harcourt, but we've got to go. Thank you very much. He had 3 minutes of rant, and he was just ranting as to what the current situation is. I do believe he's a member of Ssanu from the way he sounds. But let's go to God's Power, who is in a chair. God's Power, welcome. What is on your mind? I'd like to hear from you.
Yes, the issue on board is a recurring decimal. I don't know how many places of decimal this one will be reoccurring. Incessant, tried by Asu and the Nasu and all of them. Federal government is treating them like the oil problem. Nothing is coming out. They will agree and disagree. Agree. They will not implement. Which area that the federal government will be given a pass mark? Our average hour is in shambles. Nothing's happening there. Which area? Can't they listen to this agreement that has been made? Let them do that now. At least we say, yes, they are doing well here. Every day, renewed agenda that we are not working, nothing is coming up. For how long will this be? What is the future of our leaders tomorrow? Our children go to university campus, you know that it does not look like an average hour. Something is supposed to be done urgently.
All right.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right. Thank you very much. I've got Choma from Port Harcourt. Choma, welcome. What is on your mind?
Good evening, Canada. This is Comrade Choma calling from Port Harcourt.
A lot of comrades calling in. Choma, welcome. Let's get your thoughts now.
Yes. I just want to add colors to what the branch secretary of Ssanu University of Port Harcourt have just said. You are talking about loss of man-hour, as in respect to the strike that we have been embarking. Of course, that should not be, maybe pointing towards us. The government will have to bear the blame. Not only loss of man-hour as arising from the previous strikes, but also life. Because when we go on strike like this, that is total and comprehensive. Before we come back, we also maybe when we evaluate, losses and gains, we also are aware that sometimes our members are affected because the health centers will not be working. And when the health centers are not working, life will eventually be lost when emergency cases arise. The truth is that to save the university system, I think it is high time the government at the center rise to the occasion, stick to every bit of the agreement entered with the non-teaching staff unions, precept by precept, line after line. And until that is done, we will not be getting it right. The idea of government playing one-sided game, I think people need to speak against that. The National Assembly, every government agency, every stakeholder in the system. Maybe the reason why they are doing this is because their children are not schooling in Nigeria. Imagine if Tinubu's child is schooling in Nigeria. Imagine if the Minister of Education himself is child, any of his child is schooling in Nigeria in public universities. I think they would sit up to say, let us do what is right to save the future of our children. But because they believe that the people that are schooling in Nigeria are children of the downtrodden, so they are not concerned. How can you enter agreement with people since 2009 and you have failed to fulfill that part of the agreement, and these people have been going to work, paying transportation? Okay, Canada, you can tell yourself.
All right.
From your house to your radio station, maybe initially before now, if it is a place where you pay 100, you can attest to the fact that you now pay 500 naira.
All right.
But all these years, the salary have remained the same. Now,
Choma, I would have to go. I wish I could.
And that is the reason for the strike. They even went in the first place.
All right.
And
Then.
you not turn around to say because they did not work, you will not pay them.
All right.
So what about the one they work that you refuse to pay?
All right, Choma, I've got to go. Choma, really, Comrade Choma, I've really got to go. I'm sorry about that, but let's get your final thoughts. All right, I can't even get your final thoughts because I do have a commercial, but I'd like to thank you, Comrade Michael Ezebaraba. I'm sorry about
yes.
So thank you very much for your time. I do have to go, but thank you nonetheless.